That's me. The name is Anthony, but people call me Ant for short. I'm 23 years old, and my life, well, that's why we're here. Do you know that moment when you say, I have to get my life together, but somehow end up falling back into the same old cycle? Yeah, same. But today, all that's about to change. And don't laugh, because I have said I wanted to change so many times. But here I am still confused with the same old bad habits, and honestly, a little lost. But this time is different. This time, I have a plan. So that this will be the last time you ever hear me say, I need to change my life.
Wash your face and comb your hair. It's a fine time.
All right, so I just arrived at Walmart so that I could get a physical whiteboard, because the first step of changing your life is writing it down. I've realized that anytime I try to type something, like I have notes from like 2021 of workouts, things that I want to accomplish, all the stuff that I either haven't done or I started and stopped and all these different things. But I've always found that I had the most success when I physically write something down, either in planners or in this case, a whiteboard. And it's time to get into it. So let's go grab it.
Tell true, do you boogaloo? It's a fine time.
But these are currently my goals, and I got them broken up into 3 columns. One is life, the other one's health, another one is just general goals. And then I put specifically Proverbs, and the reason why I put specifically Proverbs is because throughout this entire process, throughout changing my life, one of the things that I want to focus on is just my 20s. I want to let Proverbs guide my 20s. Huge reason for letting Proverbs guide my 20s is because, if you don't know, Proverbs is written by the wisest and the wealthiest and the most honored, not only man, but king ever to live, which is King Solomon. And it's because he got his divine wisdom from God above. And he wrote a book. Like, think about it like this. I know we've read self-help or self-improvement, development books and stuff like that. But imagine if the wisest and the wealthiest man, imagine if you had access to his knowledge. Imagine if you could read his book. Well, that's what Proverbs is. It's literally a book about wisdom. It's literally a book about stewardship, knowledge, and applying it to your life. And I know personally, maybe you can attest to this for yourself, I've done a pretty crappy job. Don't get me wrong. I love my life. Don't get me wrong. This is the best my life has ever been in so many places. Maybe even all of them. But how long is it going to take you to start living the life that you want to live? I wanted to get your perspective on basically this video series that I'm doing, and it's called Letting Proverbs Guide My 20s.
The way that I try to look things from a godly perspective of asking the Lord for his guidance and his wisdom. There's so much awesome practical application in Proverbs.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the biggest thing too, is helping people understand yes, this is a book in the Bible, but who was the author?
All right, so I talked about the fact that my life needs to change, and I talked about the importance of writing the things down, and I broke up into 3 different categories, and I'll show that again, but I also want to talk about how, right? So we have a little bit of the why, we have a little bit of the things that we want to do, but how are we going to do those things? And this is where it all comes together about letting Proverbs guide my 20s. And the only way we can really do that is if we open up the Bible into Proverbs, right? And we study the word. So this is one of the things that's on my list of my goals, is that I am going to be studying Proverbs. It's 31 chapters. It goes pretty quickly, but I'm actually going to be meditating in Proverbs the entire year. I am going to be pulling out just different verses, different things that are applicable to life. I'm going to, like I said, apply these things to my life, but also just allow the Spirit to talk to me. Now, let's read. Okay, first, I just want to say how good Proverbs is. It is so good. It's so good. Second thing I want to say is that obviously this is not my first time studying or reading Proverbs, but hence all the highlighting and annotation stuff here. Like, here's a great example of it's parts that maybe I didn't read or I just didn't heavily study. Like I'll read like how I am right now, but when I'm studying, I have my highlighters, have my pens, my markers, anything that I feel like I just need to write or anything like that. That's how I study the Bible. You may do it differently, but that's just how I do it. There's 31 chapters. I don't know if I've said that already. There's only 31 chapters in Proverbs, and they're quick. They're quick, right? They're more like just these small little sentences or statements for the most part. Hence why I'm already, hence why I just finished chapter 11. But just in those 11 chapters, there's already so much to just meditate upon, to learn from. And I just want to read some of these because at the end of the day, Proverbs is supposed to guide my 20s, right? And the only way this could actually happen is if I actually have verses that I can take out and apply to my life. And when I say this too, if you are a Christian, if you believe in God, if you believe in Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, which I pray that you do, this is the book that you have to study. You need to study this book. But one of the verses that I just wanted to talk about, a couple of them actually, because this is like that Bible study aspect, is chapter 10, verse 4 through 5. It says, "He who has a slack hand becomes poor, but the hand of the diligent makes rich. He who gathers in the summer is a wise son. He who sleeps in a harvest is a son who causes shame." Come on. Meaning a slack hand, right? A slack hand, if you think about it, we're talking about a slacker. We're talking about somebody who is slacking off, right? A procrastinator, because the Bible talks so much. We have more things that just talks about not having idle hands, right? Not basically just sitting on your gifts, basically just waiting for something to happen before you act. It's saying he who has a slack hand, who has idle hands, becomes poor. So slacking off, procrastinating, not operating leads to your poverty, leads to poverty. But it says, the wind is crazy out here right now. But it says, he who gathers in the summer, so being proactive, is a wise son. And he who sleeps in a harvest, when he should be harvesting, is sleeping and resting, is a son who causes shame. Then another one that I just wanted to mention that convicted me, which is part of the motivation to do the series, is chapter 11, verse 24 through 25. And it says, "There is one who scatters yet increases more. There is one who withholds more than is right." So doesn't give as much as they should, but it leads to poverty. Verse 25 says, "The generous soul will be made rich, and he who waters will also be watered himself. I'll make it simple for y'all. The Bible is saying, Solomon in this particular case is saying that there is one who scatters, who spreads, who gives, yet he increases more. And there is one who withholds, doesn't share, keeps to himself what he should be giving, but it leads to poverty. How many of us have just been feeling like we need to be millionaires before we can start being charitable? That we need all of this other stuff before we can do this other stuff. Verse 25, it says that the generous soul will be made rich. And he who waters will also be watered himself. So if you're taking care of other people, you will also be taken care of. I have some notes here, and it says, he who gives makes room for more. He who gives makes room for more. And then another one, and it says, God doesn't just bless you to bless you. Oh man, I'm already having fun. This is gonna be so good. This is gonna be so good. If I'm being honest with you, one of the things that I'm suffering from the most is integrity, a lack of it, or at least from what I define integrity to be, which is simply just doing the things that I said I would do long after the mood that I said it in has passed. Like, I know I said that I would do this. I know I would say I would do that. But then that day happens where I don't want to do it. Or that night happens where, I don't know. And I literally just stop. I'm so tired of stopping simply because my emotions are dictating my actions. I no longer want my emotions to dictate my actions. I just want to do. Does that make sense? I just want to be who I said that I would be and do what I said I would do. All right, so just got back from the gym. Different head situation because the other one got sweaty. But I ended up going to the gym. We left at 7. So I didn't know if we're actually going because we left at 7 p.m. But we ended up going, and I pushed myself even harder. I think a lot of that's contributed to just the camera on me and accountability purposes. So I'm thankful for that. And yeah, I'm just super grateful for the growth that's already transpired in day one. And my real goal for this is that it's not just one in a row, but that I do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next day. And to add to that, I'm also excited to study Proverbs more, let it guide my 20s. So I'm already proud of our progress with these small wins that will hopefully lead to more. If you want to go on this journey with me, journal some things that you want to do too, and let's just tackle them together. But until then, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.